Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave Podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture, and the rogues who create them every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast and Twitch.tv/Rogue Wave Podcast. Download it immediately following the live stream on all major podcasting apps. Search Rogue Wave Podcast or go to roguewavepodcast.com to subscribe. Tonight, we do a little best Batman ever debate. Affleck versus Keaton versus Bale, and a Doom Patrol Season 1 and 2 review. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Hassan Godwin, Lord of the live stream. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good for another Wednesday. Another COVID
go.
Wednesday.
Another COVID Wednesday.
Yes. Another day in isolation.
Yeah, no, we actually have my son in a camp, so that's exciting.
You put him in a work camp? You finally did it.
It was, he just wasn't pulling his weight around here, after a while, gotta do a little bit better.
You've been threatening that for a while, so all right, it's good to see you.
But we found one, we found one that's open. They're checking temperatures. They also, my kids have the antibodies, apparently. We learned that. It was very exciting.
Kind of, a little spooky. Right?
I know, right? It was just one of those. I don't, so I don't know what that means.
Good thing you kept them away from your parents.
We actually, but the antibody test. There's a disclaimer that says this picks up all antibodies, and it could be just from the cold, like the common cold. So, and the kids, boy. And I think that's so not getting medical or anything like that, but that could be,
So much uncertainty when it comes to this thing.
Right.
Like in general, there's just too much.
Right. The only certainty we know is that we are not getting movie theaters to open back up.
Yes.
Again.
Well, the only certainty I know is to stay away from people, which
That's true.
kind of my thing anyway. So
that's true.
This is working out. It's
That's
all working
true.
out.
Well, let's dive right in.
Now that we're depressed.
This segment is called Rogue Rage, all the rage in the pop culture world. Warrior Nun was number 2 in the U.S. A few days ago when it debuted. It is based off of the Ben Dunn comic book, manga-influenced comic from the early 90s, but apparently doing really, really well. Created by Continuum creator Simon Barry. We will have him on the show next week. We're pretty excited about that, and we'll be reviewing Warrior Nun, the very first season as well. So that was that's some exciting news. So congratulations to Simon, and we look forward to talking to him all about the show next week. So I haven't watched it yet. Have you watched it?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
We're gonna save it. We're saving it for next week. It's there's just
I hit it over the weekend.
There's
what's going on with that.
Only so much time in the day. Especially
even though the content is depleted because nobody's making anything new yet, things are still coming out. So figure that. But
right,
it's still kind of hard to cycle through all this stuff.
Yeah, it does get a little overwhelming after a while. Yeah, Netflix seems to not be. Netflix seems to have stuff in the can for like many, many years. I was doing the math. How many subscribers are in Netflix?
I have no idea. I don't even have a.
Is it like 40 million, 400 million? Because I was trying to figure out the other day.
I would say maybe 400 million. You could have close to. I'm
gonna Google it.
But there's 300 million people in the U.S., right? So if you just had the U.S. alone, so it's got to be around 400 or 500 million, right? Not to say that everybody in the U.S. has Netflix because they don't, but
this says it says 182 million subscribers. 182 million, and how much does it cost? $15?
Yeah, roughly. Right? I don't even remember.
Let's say $15 just on the high end times 182 million. That's 1,000. You want a million. They make 2.7 billion per year. Okay. All right.
Is that all? Then. That's George Lucas got more of that for Star Wars.
Well, I guess the question I keep having is how can they keep funding all of the I really thought about it. I was like, they're funding all of these new series, and each series, if you think about it, you must.
Well, maybe they don't fund them completely. There's a lot of joint pays and collaborations with other studios.
Yeah. I guess
because the BBC and HBO together did Rome. They do have collabs that that they float some of the expenses.
Right.
Whereas something like Game of Thrones was, I think, exclusively HBO. right?
Correct.
But if you notice, like when Game of Thrones was at its peak, a lot of the other HBO shows were pretty cheap. Were pretty inexpensive.
Right.
And then like Game of Thrones kind of fades a little bit, and then we have Westworld that steps in, right? And so that's where a lot of the money was going.
I mean, it's crazy because HBO only has 43 million subscribers, according to this. So that's the part.
But I think it costs more for HBO than it does for Netflix.
Maybe I don't know. Netflix raised their prices, and again, I just use $15 as the benchmark. That's what I'm paying for HBO is like $15 a month. That's what the new HBO Max cost is $14.95. So let's say
crazy.
15.
I found out I get HBO Max through AT&T TV.
Oh, look at you!
Yeah, but I haven't signed up for it yet.
You have not.
Well, you can. It hasn't really. It hasn't worldwide. Hasn't gone worldwide yet. So
all right. So our Doom Patrol season 1 review is gonna be tough on it a little bit.
Well, I have seen it.
Oh, all right. I get you. Wink, wink.
But I didn't see it. Well, I saw it when it was on the DC TV.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
It was a year old,
That's right. All right.
So
well, that's good. I'm very excited to talk about it.
No need to suggest anything nefarious.
That's all I do.
Yes, I know.
Black
You're the king of suggestion.
Huh? Black Widow director says the film will hand the baton to Florence Pugh. Did I pronounce that right? Pugh?
I guess I'm not even tackling it. That's your
from
the bad pronunciation of names is your department. That's how you do.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Heroic Hollywood reported this. Although there's still a few months to go until Marvel fans finally get to see Black Widow, director Kate Shortland revealed to Empire magazine more about what to expect from Natasha Romanoff's solo adventure, revealing it passes the baton to Florence Pugh. Kevin Feige realized that the audience would expect an origin story, so of course we went in the opposite direction, and we didn't know how great Florence Pugh would be. We knew she would be great, but we didn't know how great. Scarlett is so gracious, like, oh, I'm handing her the baton, so it's going to propel another female storyline. I think that's pretty much the rumor, right? That's the general rumor out there.
I don't care how gracious you are, and I don't doubt her sincerity. But it's still got to be tough to hand over something, to someone else, especially a highly successful franchise. You're just stepping away from it. It is. Yeah, maybe. I think I would. I would be a little about it. I wouldn't be upset.
Right.
I mean, it's career wise, it might be time to move on. I might see.
That's what I'm saying. Like at some point, like ScarJo is probably tired of playing. Maybe she's not tired.
Doesn't matter. I'm not even talking about like whether or not she wants to do it or not.
Right.
It's just like there's something that you made. You get a little possessive about things that were originally yours or you pioneered, and then someone's going to come in and step in and literally be you. Like literally be called by your.
She's probably not going to be the Black Widow though. She'll probably be something.
Well, she'll be the replacement. The Black Widow is a title, not a character specifically, right?
I guess so.
So it's like Captain America. Captain America is a title.
True.
And they're gonna have a new Captain America, even though he's gonna be kind of a jerked in America. But
is he? Sam Wilson?
No, they're gonna have in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're gonna have another Captain America.
Really?
He's a government prop.
Oh, so U.S. agent.
Yeah.
Ooh, see, I just went deep comic book lore right there.
Yeah, you did. So. You did. I was trying to avoid doing that, but because I don't know exactly. They haven't said exactly that it's U.S. agent, but
well, I mean, it's got to be US
probably agent. Yes, but they haven't said it exactly.
Do you know U.S. agent's secret identity name?
No, I do not.
I don't either.
I was not an Avengers.
I don't either. I don't actually. I don't. That's so my level of nerddom stops there.
We're gonna cut that part out. Cut that part out.
I'm full-fledged.
We're losing the geek cred.
Look, I could literally look it up right now if I want.
No, don't.
I'm not going to.
Why would we do that? We don't do that here on Rogue Wave.
No,
we don't do any of that.
Work here.
We don't look things up. We don't substantiate facts. We don't do any of that stuff.
Well, that's great because not my next story, but the story after is
what's the next story.
But before we get there, Robert Pattinson's The Batman to resume production in the UK. So
okay. All right, that's a good thing.
The Batman, Mission Impossible 7, Fantastic Beasts 3, and other tentpole films are expected to begin filming again in the United Kingdom soon. It was well into production with several first looks and set pictures revealed before filming was put on hold due to the ongoing pandemic. The Pattinson-led Batman reboot was filming on the United Kingdom with a release date of June 2021 before it was pushed back several months. Fans are eager to hear more news on the Batman at DC Fandom in August.
I don't like the way he looks in that suit.
What's that?
I don't like the way he looks in that suit.
No? Well,
I mean, I'm waiting to see more. There's going to be more.
What exactly don't you like about his look? Like the
I don't
cowl,
know.
His whole body structure? Like, what is it?
I just don't like the cowl. Like, I'm particular about the cowl. Cowl is an important thing. Okay. So, like, I didn't like the Kristen Bale cowl. Not to foreshadow any of future further discussions for the future in the show, but I never liked the way his cowl fit on his head. I always liked the Michael Keaton cowl and how it grew out of the cape.
A lot of criticism for that cowl, though, because he can't turn his neck.
I was about to say, yes, I understand that it was very difficult for him to turn his head and his neck, and it was, it was visually working, but it was not utilitarian. I understand that. I completely understand that. However, the look of it was fantastic. You can't argue. The look of that was fantastic.
I agree. It looked better.
Yeah, so like I've always liked that. The Kristen Bale cowl, his head it seemed a little too bulbous.
Mm-hmm.
So it never really. But we'll get into all that stuff. So, Pattinson,
are you foreshadowing my next story?
No, I'm trying not to. I'm trying to. I'm trying to follow. I'm trying to follow the format. You're making it difficult for me to follow the format. Anyway,
it's a wacky day today.
No, yeah, it's an off day. Hint, hint, hint. But. All right. So Pattinson, all right, but okay. Finish your. I'm sorry.
So this is from Cosmic Book News.
Don't dig him in the suit.
Cosmic Book News. So this is probably not true.
Cosmic, not a comic book news. It's Cosmic Book. Whatever a cosmic book.
Right.
Have we been missing out on cosmic books all this time? Are there cosmic books and we just haven't been reading them? All right. Go ahead.
It's yeah. Sorry. So, but I really like this story, and it kind of spurns what I thought would be a really fun topic to talk about right now. Okay. Ben Affleck signs Batman contract for HBO Max. It is said Ben Affleck will be back as Batman and attached to HBO Max. Back in May, saw the rumor first surface on 4chan, so it's got to be true. Ben Affleck back as Batman. And now the Lightcast and Cultured Nerd YouTube channels claim the same.
Oh boy,
these are clearly reputable sources. Ben has indeed. Well, okay. Let me before I even read further.
Like the fact that Disney is rebooting Star Wars, right?
That was their second lead story underneath.
Okay.
Here's my rationale for even indulging in this before I continue.
Right.
We've been saying the same for Snyder Cut for years, like ha 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 ha, and then it was like, oh yeah,
true. So
yes, I get it. This is Cosmic Book News. Yes, this is not probably very reputable, but again, it's really a jump starter for a different topic. But let me continue. Ben has indeed signed a new contract. He's coming back, says Taylor Murphy of the Cultured Nerd. The official announcement is expected to happen either at DC Fandom or during JusticeCon. One of the two, we're going to get that announcement, but it's going to happen before September. We're going to get the official announcement, and we are going to get the Snyderverse Batman returning. I actually cleaned up that sentence. It was very poorly written and structured. And had I read it,
which is indicative of how valid the news may be.
And I read it the way it was actually written would have really killed the entire
whole bunch of grammar teachers would have thrown their Facebook's out the window.
Knocked down a peg the idea that this is actually going to happen. They are bringing everyone back. This is planned. This is a design because of Zach. This is a plan that they're going to move forward with. I mean, I keep saying it is a great time to be a DC fan, which is actually not untrue. Interestingly enough, Jeff Johns has been blamed as the reason why Ben Affleck left the Batman role, as Johns is said to have caused interference with Affleck's decisions involving the script. In addition, Zack Snyder brought Affleck on board as his choice for the DCEU Dark Knight, and since Snyder left Justice League, Affleck decided it wasn't worth all the headaches to remain as Batman. Johns is also blamed for screwing over Snyder and problems with Justice League.
But Johns is gone now, and Snyder's sort of back in favor, though he's not officially back at anything. All right, yeah, I understand that. And look, strangely enough, I loved Affleck's Batman. Loved it. Loved him. So it's within my best interest to believe this nonsense and say that even though they're spending literally hundreds of millions of dollars to make Patterson to prop up Patterson's Batman, they would undercut it with putting Affleck's Batman on television.
Well, it's interesting. No, but it's interesting, and actually, that the article does kind of address that.
Yes, because Patterson's like the younger version, right? He's young.
Yeah.
He's a young Bruce Wayne, and then Affleck is where he's headed. That's where the road ends, right?
Yeah.
But stop it. Stop it. It's nonsense.
Hang on. There's a
look. If it's not nonsense, I'll be like, yes, and I'll be happy.
Murphy says Affleck agreed to return as Batman on HBO Max because he didn't want to take away anything from the new Robert Pattinson Batman, who is starring in the upcoming Matt Reeves movie. So he's okay.
Is he just appearing as Batman? And he's not, but he's not going to have a show. It's not going to be like a
right.
Batman,
I think essentially what you're going to get is you're going to get. There's talk of again Michael Keaton returning. That seems to be more legitimate.
Yeah, that is legit
in terms of news stories that are reporting it.
Or their attempts to get him are legit.
Correct.
I don't know. We don't know yet. It's
correct. And the entire multiverse that's being created in the Flash movie, supposedly in 2022, it allows for all these Batmans to kind of coexist, and it was done on the WB, Arrowverse in the Flash TV show. So it's not exactly something that is not, it's not totally foreign to the people who are watching or consuming DC products on TV and movies.
It's not without the realm of impossibility, right?
Right. So the reason I did include this story, besides the fact that there was nothing else going on, was the fact that I thought with the idea of Michael Keaton's Batman coming back, and now if Ben Affleck's Batman's coming back, I think it's perfect, and Robert Pattinson soon to be released. Now we can't obviously include him in this debate just yet because we haven't seen his version of Batman, and who knows, he could pull Heath Ledger and completely shock us. I thought it was a great time to bring up the debate: who is the best Batman, and who is the best Bruce Wayne?
Did you plan this segue?
I did. I did.
All right. This seems like. It seems like a lot of hatch work right there. All right, okay.
Because here's the thing, right? And I love Michael Keaton's performance, and I love Michael Keaton's Batman, but I will say he is neither the best Bruce Wayne nor the best Batman. The combination of Batman on screen, I think Michael Keaton is arguably the best, and I wouldn't say you're crazy if you told me Michael Keaton's the best. I got to tell you, Ben Affleck is the best Batman. And it kind of blows my mind to even utter those words. But when I picture, let's do the inkblot test, right? Just first thought that comes to mind when I picture Ben Affleck as Batman and Bruce Wayne, I'm like, perfect. His Batman has the noise garbler, so that when he talks, it's like super scary. He has a super patented scary voice. He fits the suit perfectly.
Wait, hold it. This what we're doing right now. It's called the inkblot test. That's what we're doing.
No, I just did it. I just did the inkblot test.
Or
what's the?
You said let's do the inkblot.
Well, I'll do it
test.
for you as well too. No,
I didn't even get a chance to blot.
Hang on. I'm gonna do it for you. It's maybe the first word that comes to mind. Test. I'll do it for you. But this is I'm setting it up right now.
Fair enough. All right.
I picture Ben Affleck as Batman, and it's perfect. He looks like Bruce Wayne. He looks like the real life version of the animated Batman from the Bruce Timm Batman series and the Paul Dini Batman series in the early 90s. Like that to me
doesn't sound like Kevin Conroy then.
No, because he's got the voice scrambler. Very
nobody sounds like Kevin Conroy. Nobody does Batman like Kevin Conroy.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. And you can actually go and check out. We're going to be launching our Rogue Reloaded podcast that has some of the best stuff we've done. And we have a Kevin Conroy interview. He's fantastic. But again, in terms of just the look and feel, picturing Ben Affleck from Batman v Superman, and even in Justice League as well too, in Suicide Squad, that first 10 minutes of Suicide Squad is probably the best visual representation we've ever seen of Batman. Am I crazy?
I would not.
Aside from the open-endedness of that question, in regards to the Ben Affleck Batman.
Aside from, I don't know, over 12 years of knowing you and all the other stuff that we've, are you crazy because of that? Not because of that, but that might not mean you're not crazy.
I mean,
yes. Yeah, look, I'm a Michael Keaton man. Now, the thing is, Affleck's Batman is fantastic. Affleck's Justice League in general. Batman versus Superman and Justice League, but Batman versus Superman in general is the polar opposite of, say, The Dark Knight, where I thought that Dark Knight was a great movie with a bad Batman in it.
Yeah.
And Batman vs. Superman is a bad movie with a great Batman in it.
Yes.
Right? So if you swap those out,
yes,
perfect. If Ben Affleck's Batman was in The Dark Knight, that movie still to this day would not be topped. It would be the equivalent of Spider-Man 2, where it still has not technically, that movie in the Spider-Man milieu has not been surpassed. Now, there have been great Spider-Man movies since then. The Marvel Spider-Man movies are good movies, but they don't really come close to Spider-Man 2. They just don't capture the feeling, in my opinion. That's just me. Same with
Hang on, let me. I have to process what you said here. You're saying that even if they took the Ben Affleck Batman from Batman v Superman and transplanted him digitally, which someone out there should do, into The Dark Knight, that it still wouldn't be the best.
It would not. Movie? That would be Batman. That movie as a Batman movie would be unsurpassable.
Oh, okay. Because it sounded like you said that it would not be, and then
you could not. I would not be surpassed. It would not.
If you took Christian Bale out of The Dark Knight and you put Ben Affleck in, and Ben Affleck's costume and Ben Affleck's suit and the noise especially the noise garbling.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be
those three movies
Ledger Joker.
Would be it would be original Star Wars tier, that trilogy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. But unfortunately, we got what we got. Now, listen, Christian Bale is a fantastic actor. He worked his ass off in those three movies. Okay? Yeah. I just did not like Nolan's take on what Batman was, what he represented, and the depiction of Batman in those films.
Okay.
Now, I'm coming from the 90s. I'm coming from a place where Batman's depiction, in the comic books especially, had almost become mythical, right? Where they would do, like the ubiquitous gargoyle shot, of him just hanging out on top of, and he became more of a mythical creature than he was a guy in a bat suit, right? Than he was Adam West, right? They ascended him from the Adam West era of strange guy in tights that the police tolerate to just this entity of street justice and vengeance, stuff like that.
Well, in the Adam West Batman, those cops are pretty
they were useless,
inefficient. They were very not good.
So were the Burton cops. I mean, in Batman Returns, the first 10 minutes of that, the police show up to deal with the Red Triangle gang or whatever. Whatever. And 2 minutes in, Commissioner Gordon's like, "You use the signal." I mean, he's got an army of cops. He's got an army of cops, and he's calling for Batman. Yeah. And then it's very campy, but it's a great scene of Michael Keaton in his study, and the bat signal just flashes through his window, and he's like, "Oh, I am needed." Please, first of all, Batman would have already been there.
Right.
He would have been lurking in the shit. He would not have been hanging out at home watching. He was
pondering why Kim Basinger disappeared.
Yes.
He was sad.
Offered her more money.
He was sad, man.
We should have just offered her more money.
Right.
But I am in love with, first of all, the problem with doing this in general And it's not that your question
Ironically,
is
though,
flawed.
Kim Basinger is number 2 to Nicole Kidman in my book in terms of Batman women.
Well, that's a different discussion.
That's a different discussion. I know.
Not that the question is invalid, but the
No.
problem is the answer is going to be
Canceled.
very subjective because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter about who depicted it right. It matters about who you were and what you were doing and how you and how you process things when you first saw each and every one of those Batman, right? So I mean, if you're an adult in his 30s and that's the first time you see Adam West's Batman, you're gonna be like, this is a joke, this is intolerable,
yeah,
right? Especially after coming off of all those other movies. Your first impression of Batman was, say, Christian Bale or Michael Keaton. Sure. You're gonna go to the Adam West, you'd be like, this is unwatchable, right? However, if you're a kid who was 5 years old and was exposed to,
I was 8 years old when I watched it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, and it was like, this is definitely Batman. There's nothing wrong with this, and you don't even understand camp. You don't even understand that it's a parody of it, right? So, my reintroduction to Batman as a serious character, of course, I already told the story, was in 1989, going to see Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, with my uncle, and that's always going to solidify Michael Keaton as my favorite Batman.
But let me throw this out here. Because I think what you're saying is true. I can't. So again, we're playing maybe not the ink blot test. Maybe it's the first thing that come to mind test. That's really what I was trying to do. Not the ink blot.
Not the Rorschach test.
Not the Rorschach test.
Because Rorschach is a completely different character.
What's the first thing that comes to mind? Don't think about it. Just react. Right.
Okay.
1989 Batman.
Great.
Okay. If you can, what scene do you think of when I say this, right? Batman Begins.
Swear to me.
Yeah, I like if
that's the scene where he's hanging a guy off of the building and he says, "Where is the swear to me?"
I picture, I guess it was a train at the end.
When he floats out of the train.
Like that's the first thing that comes to mind if I think that, right? Batman Returns. What's the first scene that comes to mind?
Oh boy, him putting a bomb in a guy's belt.
That's the first thing that came to my mind too.
Yeah.
So I don't like that movie. I think it's terrible. Batman v Superman. And it might not be Batman that comes to mind, but
the fight in that warehouse.
Okay, that's a good one. I remember
Holy
him
crap.
when he was just annihilating people in the Bat Tank or whatever the hell he was.
There's a lot of missteps to that.
But when I think of Batman v Superman, and I think of just in the terms of the context of try to picture as much Batman, I also picture Bruce Wayne, meeting Wonder Woman, in their secret identities for the very first time. I picture, him training really hard, and I just think to myself, I'm like, that's freaking Batman. Like, there's just something about it.
They should have given him his own film because I don't know if you take a guy who's Batman, and again, who has, achieved mythical status, right? Even though he's just a guy in a bat suit, right? The whole idea, the concept of Batman is absurd, right? There's a guy dressed like a bat with a car that looks like a bat, and a jet that looks like a bat in a cave, and he lives in a cave. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? And so you take this mythical character, but no matter what, over the years we have ascended him to greatness, right? In all the depictions in all our fantasies of superheroes and whatever. Mm-hmm. And you take him and you depict him for the first time, Ben Affleck, and you put him next to Superman. Yeah. You put a man next to an immortal, basically. It's like, this is your first depiction of Batman as to how he's going to have to cheat, and he's going to have to, he's getting the Batmobile gets ripped apart because it slams into Superman, and he rips the Batmobile open and pulls Batman out and threatens him, don't go to the bat signal or whatever. And you're like, okay, Batman looks kind of weak here. He doesn't look like, and he looks great in the fight. He does a great job in the fight between Superman because he essentially wins that fight, right? With but then he's completely useless in the fight with Doomsday, So it's kind of a terrible debut for his character.
Right.
Now, some of the stuff that he does, like, okay, the warehouse fight, the discussions we do, him and Jeremy Irons are fantastic together.
Yes.
Right? That's it. That chemistry works almost immediately. All of their discussions with, Alfred and Batman's discussions
Right.
while he's in battle, and how Alfred is, kind of there monitoring the entire situation for him, like he's part of the team.
Yeah.
The Bat team in making things happen. The suggestion that we've already had the Jason Todd situation.
Right.
There's a lot of grizzled stuff that we have that works, and then there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work. Just because of the movie in and of itself.
Yep.
So, like I said, it's a great Batman in a really bad movie, whereas Christian Bale is a bad Batman in really great movies.
What scene? If I say Batman 1989, do you just come to mind immediately? Don't think. Just
the warehouse, the warehouse scene, where not the scene where he throws Jack Nicholson into the acid, but the scene there are a series of scenes while the police are chasing Jack Napier that Batman's always kind of in the frame.
Okay.
Like he just kind of moves through the frame because he's closing in on Napier himself from the other direction.
You got to think for warehouses, apparently. This is actually a deep psychological exam. You don't even know it's happening.
Yes, I am. I am psychologically drawn to warehouses. I examine warehouses.
Yeah, I picture that initial thug getting like, that's the first thing I always think of. Like,
the roof.
Yeah. That I definitely do. But I got to tell you, throughout all that, I picture that as the Tim Burton Batman. I picture the Christian Bale as like the Christopher Nolan Batman. I picture the first 10 minutes in Suicide Squad, and I'm like, that's Batman. Like, there's like, it's just something, maybe it's the mundanity of him just kind of catching a criminal, but that's Batman. And it's Ben Affleck in his costume doing his thing. I think that is the best portrayal we've seen on screen of a Batman, and it's 10 minutes of a bad movie. That's not the only 10 minutes of a bad movie that's not really that terrible.
So you hope that 4chan rumor is true.
I do.
Hope Affleck's coming back.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love it.
Me neither. But that would be great. That would be great.
A cameo is not going to cut it either. Like, I don't want just a cameo. Like,
they gotta give him
and I know
his
it's
due.
not going to happen, but I would love to see a full-fledged.
An Affleck Batman movie would have been, I think it would have been what Aquaman ended up being.
And he had the guy from Argo writing it with him too. I mean, his Chris Terrier from Argo. I mean, it was
all kinds of crazy things must have gone on behind the scenes. All kinds of crazy things.
And I know. And
Affleck wasn't doing that well either.
I know. In the article I read, it said personally, he says it would have killed him, and it was not a good time for him. And look, I get it. I'm not trying to belittle that. But still, yeah, I would have preferred it. All right, let me know what you think. Your best Batman ever, your best Bruce Wayne, because those can be two different things as well too. Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, I don't think is even close to an argument. No Val Kilmer sighting anywhere, and definitely no George Clooney sighting in this.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well,
chime in.
We just didn't get around to it. I could have rated all of them, but we didn't get around to it.
What is your best Batman scene that you've seen on film? All right, when we come back, we tell you why you need to be watching Doom Patrol on HBO Max when we return. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave Podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. You can go check us out every Wednesday, facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast, and or go to roguewavepodcast.com to subscribe. Okay.
I again resent being called a disruptor. I'm not happy about it.
Last week, we did
not even gonna
Umbrella Academy versus The Boys versus Doom Patrol. We wanted to pick the best superhero streaming show on right now.
Yeah, and as I recall, I don't think we did.
No, we did.
We didn't really get around to it.
we both.
Well, we didn't elaborate on it.
We didn't elaborate. No, we picked. We said Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is the best. And well, okay. Actually, I take that back because I actually.
You like the Umbrella Academy. You were partial to the Umbrella
No,
Academy.
I actually said that was my least favorite of the three.
Was it?
Yeah. The Boys to me was fantastic.
Oh, down.
But
Yeah. And
but
then we
Doom
rowed
Patrol,
about that a bit.
the reason Doom Patrol actually has risen in my pantheon here, and the reason why we're talking about it right now, because no one else is, which is a shame, is the fact of just I had zero expectations for this show.
Mm.
And I'm not a huge fan of the Arrowverse. I don't mean it in a sense of they're bad TV shows at all. I was never a DC guy. Like I just never was, right?
Okay.
So for me to devote, what is it, 4 hours a week on the Arrowverse? There's 5 shows now, 5 because Stargirl's now. To devote 5 hours.
Yeah, there's a lot of Arrowverse
to DC, to where I was never like, I liked when Kevin Smith rebooted Green Arrow. I did watch that. I did read that. I was never a Flash guy. I heard great things about it. I liked Ethan Van Sciver's run with Jeff Johns on Green Lantern, but that was back when I worked for Wizard and we got free comps. So I would, I kind of like would watch, but it just wasn't my thing, right? So
right.
So Doom Patrol, I didn't have a lot leading up to it. I didn't think it was going to be anything. I love Grant Morrison though, and then I read this article, which I thought was actually pretty good. This is from Polygon.com. Doom Patrol and the X-Men are similar for a good reason, and they talk about Doom Patrol being released in then the DCEU streaming service, but now it's the HBO Max, which is great. I get it, which is great.
Mm.
And it basically, at the DC Universe, debuted Doom Patrol, a show based on the comic book about a team of misfits with strange powers who were brought together by an aloof genius for the betterment of humanity. I know what you're thinking. Isn't that just the plot of the X-Men? The lead of the Doom Patrol even uses a wheelchair, just like Professor X. They're both ripping off the X-Men. And the article actually goes on to say, if anything, the X-Men is actually a ripoff of Doom Patrol based off of the history of the book. It was created by writers Arnold Drake and Bob Haney, and it was debuted in the spring of 1963, which is a watershed moment in American comics. The early 60s were defined by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby at Marvel. The key insight behind the Fantastic Four and many other Marvel comics was the realization that the audience could be interested in more than heroes who always just did the right thing without having to think about it. In fact, they might get more excited about heroes who struggled in their non-costume life. Doom Patrol actually responded to that trend and released the book prior to X-Men #1. And there is a rumor Doom Patrol and X-Men seem to be just one of those cases of convergent comics evolution, not an outright ripoff, but Arnold Drake, the co-creator, did lob some accusations at Stan Lee. In 2007, he told Newsarama at the time he'd become more and more convinced Stan Lee knowingly stole the X-Men from Doom Patrol. I don't wholeheartedly agree. I get there's a guy in a wheelchair that kind of leads the team and things like that, but I'm not of the belief that he outright.
Who knows though? I mean, with all that stuff, you do the origins of all those things, and then plus ownership wasn't even a thing back then, like franchise ownership rights. So I mean, even if Stan Lee did it, he would have been at the time legally within his rights to steal.
Right.
Right. So I mean, all right.
I mean, it.
But most likely, yeah, sure. George Lucas stole Star Wars from westerns. Like the whole first movie is a western.
Like stealing or an homage? Was it an homage or was it stealing? I mean, that's the thing. Influenced? I mean, like.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. But I mean, he stole imagery. He stole, he updated it. He adapted it to his visual language. But everybody borrows. Like, there's nothing. There's no way you're going to be able to, even the stuff that you write. There's no way you're writing fresh. Yeah. You are writing influenced by thousands of different things. Right. Which is the way it's supposed to be. That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, and. So part of me was thinking to myself, though, too, that the similarities between Doom Patrol and X-Men, that must be why I respond to this. But it really isn't, though, either. I just thought it was an interesting article to kind of throw into the equation there. Yes, there's a lot of similarities. I saw that. But I feel like Doom Patrol, to me, it's the one show I've now watched where it is so – season 1 is so bonkers, but in a good way, right? I mean, even the stuff that didn't quite make a lot of sense when they were time traveling. Like in season 1, they're time traveling – there's a giant eye that's going to take over the town and starts basically eliminating, and it's called the Creator. And then they actually time travel back in time so they can create the decreator. Or sorry, he is the decreator, and they go back in time to create the recreator. And it's stuff like that. The flatulent donkey that teleports them to different places, which is pretty amazing. The fact that Mr. Nobody is narrating the entire thing as if you were watching, so he's breaking the fourth wall as you're watching it. There is just such a level of unpredictability that, to me, the funny part is it's done in such a straightforward way. The wackiness is now just part of, the unpredictableness is part of this, but it's actually done in a way where most TV shows, like The Umbrella Academy, are like this mystery onion you have to unravel, and you're gonna, these twists and turns. And from what I've read, Warrior Nun actually has a lot of those as well too. I'm not sure how.
But Doom Patrol is like much more straightforward.
The storytelling itself is more straightforward. So I'm finding that now, yes, I've come to expect the unexpected. I'm come to expect the unpredictableness as I'm watching as I was watching season 1, and it will lead into season 2. But to me, I find that so refreshing. And Doom Patrol has more star power than anything else as well too. We didn't talk too much about that last week. Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer. I mean, those are heavy hitters that you got.
And it's very under the radar.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know until I started watching it that Brendan Fraser was even part of it. Like he was even involved, let alone one of the main characters. So
now they get off the hook in the sense that Robot Man and Mr. Negative are literally can just be anybody in those costumes. So Brendan Fraser's work day is probably like a quarter of what if you're an actual regular on the show, like Crazy Jane or Rita Farr or whatever the case might be. But I mean, you've got heavy hitters, and it's not just one of those things. They really Brendan Fraser's voice is amazing in this as Robot Man. So this is not really a review of season 1 and 2 so much as people need to start watching it. And the reason I say it's not so much a review is, as far as I understand, I don't you go on Twitter, there's no buzz. Tons of buzz about Warrior Nun. A lot of people flocked to Twitter when it came out and it dumped, and people are trying to find out. It could just be, look, Netflix is a more recognizable platform.
But I've been seeing that. I've been seeing more people talk about the same thing. It's like, why isn't this being advertised more? The advertising, the marketing behind Doom Patrol is terrible, because a lot of people didn't even know the second season was out, and that you could start watching episodes from it. So I mean, that's HBO Max. HBO Max is trying to launch itself in the first place.
Right.
So why is it dropping the ball on content that's part of the zeitgeist right now? Superheroes are just the language we all speak right now.
Right.
And they've got their own superhero series, and they're dropping the ball on the release. I don't understand what that's about.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying it's a perfect show by any stretch of the imagination. There are definitely, episodes where I don't love the actor who plays Cyborg. I don't like the look of Cyborg. I feel like they spent all their special effects on making Brendan Fraser's character look as realistic as possible, because Cyborg literally looks like he has a piece of plastic stuck to his face. And I don't, the level of acting from the guy who plays Cyborg, I feel like is subpar to the rest of the cast. I like they got Jackie Childs from Seinfeld is the father in Star Labs. I think that's pretty neat. And I know, he's not really in the original Grant Morrison run, which is what this is based off of.
Yes, yeah. Cyborg is a addition to it.
There's also
creative license additions to it.
Right. There's also a couple episodes that are not as strong as maybe the rest of them. I thought the episode, I think it was episode 4, where they're taking on the reading cult. Now, while the cult itself was actually pretty darn cool, I thought it was interesting because it took away from the narrative of they were trying to locate the chief the entire time, and then all of a sudden kind of diverged. Although then the chief it does kind of go full circle. They do bring it back. But for the most part, the format, the other thing that I love, and actually I hate and I love at the same time, right, is the week-to-week format. When I binged the first season, and every episode in the first season was previously on, and I was like, oh, why? It's streaming. Why are we doing previously on? And then I realized that we're only 4 episodes into season 2 now at this point, and it's a week-to-week show. But that's another reason why I'm sitting there just wondering why DC, like you said, is why are they dropping the ball in terms of promoting this, or HBO Max.
They just don't know what they're doing yet. You know,
Mandalorian was must watch every week. Game of Thrones must watch every week. If you're gonna do something like
even the Mandalorian, even the gallery, right? The Mandalorian behind the scenes, the documentary was touted, was a must watch thing. And look what happened with
understood that it's Star Wars. I get that, but
but look what happened with Hamilton. They promoted the crap out of it, and they had a huge opening weekend. You know, it was a monster. Yeah. So that's how you do it. You know, especially everybody's available, everybody's home, everybody wants something to watch. All you got to do is tell them it's there. I know. You know, that makes no sense.
I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid of how wacky it is. But at the same time, why would you greenlight something that's so like bonkers?
Because they need content. So they figured that might have been the only thing they could grab, and they don't have any faith in it. But I mean, then advertise it. You know? Even the negative press is still press. You know, the negative.
There is no negative, and you know what the funny part is? The more and more I'm reading, critics are like Doom Patrol, and they would do the comparisons, the Umbrella Academy versus the Doom Patrol. They would do the comparisons of just Doom Patrol versus other. You know, I mean, it is by far. I mean, I said I don't gravitate toward the CW shows, but it is by far better than all of those. Like, it is just immediately better. It's not just the cursing. It's not just the nudity. It's not just like, you know, stuff that would get me more, you know, that you could argue and say, well, it's streaming, they can do more versus what you can do on TV. I mean, most of the stuff that has you interested is plot driven. It's story driven. Special effects are just as good as anything that's on network TV and vice versa. It's just a better show. And I don't know. It's, to me, go binge it. Go watch season 1. Go watch season 2. As it's unfolding. This is the one instance where I'm actually upset that it's unfolding week to week. I don't know why. But for the most part, I like week to week shows better. But
I don't dig them at all. I think that's not what they sold us. And that's my attitude about it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I hear you. But let me know what you think if you're watching Doom Patrol. I know so many people are like, oh, I wanted to see it, and I never did. But go watch it. If you got HBO, you now have HBO Max, most likely. Go binge it. 15 episodes for the first season. That was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot.
No, it's not a lot. That's the normal. That's better than normal.
That's network television. 15.
Network, yeah. And streaming could learn something from network because they get their content out on time every year.
I'm of the less is more bandwagon now. I think
you're getting way, way, way less and paying way, way, way more. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Anymore. All right, when we come back, we go spinning the racks. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Hassan was just griping off air that we are terrible reviewers. I say we are show advocates. We are here.
Why would you tell them that? Don't tell the people. Don't tell the people our secret discussions. What the hell is the matter with you?
It's behind the curtain. That's the Wizard of Oz.
It's what it's supposed to be, but there's a curtain for a reason, Michael. All right, never mind. You're terrible.
Riveting.
I'm not confiding in you about anything ever again.
Riveting discussion. We are big fanboys of comics and graphics.
No, that is not the word. You used breathtaking. You said the discussion was breathtaking.
It was. I thought it was riveting and breathtaking. Okay. It riveted you so much it took your breath away.
Yes. I don't think that's it, but okay. All right.
We are big fanboys of comics and graphic novels, and every week we like to bring you the inside info and the source material that will make its way onto the large and small screen. We call this segment Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Organizers cancel 2020 Tampa Bay Comic-Con, costing me $1 potentially to Pat Shan. Okay, that wasn't in the headline. Citing rising COVID-19 cases.
Hey, wait a minute. I should have taken part of that bet because I knew they were going to.
You knew they were going to cancel? No, well, to be fair, that bet was made in March when things were still going. We're going down. So
okay,
he said there was never.
So last week doesn't count.
he said there was never going to be a there was not going to be any conventions this year. And I said, he goes, and I go, now until October is a long time. We're really talking about New York Comic Con. And he says, I'll bet you $1 million. I said, I'll bet you $1. But
what? You didn't feel confident enough to put up a cool mill? What the hell?
Right.
Come on, man.
That being said, if you count the smaller shows that Florida had put on, technically I won that bet because there were Comic-Cons going on. And there's one in Missouri happening this weekend.
Of course there is. Stupid.
So, but having him on the show last week, and you can go to all of the major podcasting apps to download it.
Florida is like a crazy epicenter, like it's crazy. Like they're talking about.
Here's the good news on all this, though. The cases are skyrocketing, but the deaths are not going up. In fact, the deaths
doesn't matter. The deaths are not going up yet.
Oh well, it's mostly young people. That's what I'm reading, and it's mostly.
But they're not. It's not like the flu. They're having seizures and strokes and stuff like that. It's serious. It's a serious thing.
I'm not taking away the seriousness of it. I'm just saying it's not the epic level that it was, at least in New York City in like April, where it was. I had a friend who had it, and it took him a week after he got over it to learn how to walk again. It's not a joke, know. And everybody's kind of joke though.
But everybody's downplaying it. It's like, first of all, it's a roulette. It's a roulette wheel.
Agreed.
And all the rungs on the wheel are bad. Just
no, but that's not
one
true,
of them.
That's
one of them
true,
is
though.
death. That's the worst. But that's not the
one of them is also you feel absolutely nothing and don't even know you have it. So I mean, you can't say all of them are bad. I mean,
that's still bad because it has. They're just. I just saw a report today that said that there's still lung damage even if you're asymptomatic.
They don't know.
So
they don't know. I mean,
you don't know that. But see that's the thing. You don't know that it's not that.
You agreed. No, agreed.
So then that's the thing.
Agreed.
That's the thing. Know. Don't catch it. It's a disease. Diseases are bad.
Correct.
Throughout the entirety of human history,
correct.
Diseases are bad. Right? This is not comic books where you catch a disease and you gain spider powers. It doesn't work that way.
I read a report that you actually can fly. Yeah. It's out there. Everything's out there.
Then you know what? Head to Florida. Take a vacation down in Florida. Go ahead.
There's a great remember what the comic it was like the parody comic that Marvel used to release in the 90s.
Yes.
They had what if had what the.
Yes, it was a parody of what if.
You read too many comics when you get hit by a lethal dose of radiation and think it's going to give you awesome superpowers, and it's like some kid he looks like the Toxic Avenger, and he's like cool, he's like squeezing his wrist.
That's what I'm saying, and everybody's treating it like the reason we're not getting past it. I don't give a damn about how many deaths there are and the fact that the deaths are low because that's a spin on it. The reason we're not getting past it is because everybody downplays it. Everybody spins it. Okay? And the thing we want to do, we all want to get back to work. We all want commercial the commercial aspects of our lives to come back.
Right.
Right? We want to be in a good economy. It's not going to happen until this goes away. Because regardless of how much spin is on it, people are not doing the activities.
And that's the thing, right? I mean,
people aren't going to restaurants. People aren't everything is
work.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. I mean,
but then you got idiots burning their masks, making a big statement out of it.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I think there is always a middle ground to all this, and for to your point, just be smart about it. Like I don't understand why you can't be smart about it.
But that's the thing. There's no middle ground to an infectious disease because even if you are asymptomatic, you will be a spreader.
You don't know that. No, but you don't know that, and that's the problem. We don't know because there is. I mean,
you don't know that it's not.
Agreed.
The whole idea is that you don't want to get it, and if you do get it, you don't want to give it to anyone else.
Correct.
This is the thing. So, like, you're going the not knowing and avoiding contact is smarter than not knowing and therefore justifying contact.
Go out there, wear your masks. Socially distancing, all those they work. You should absolutely do
they don't work foolproof. They are effective.
They are very effective
in narrowing down the possibilities.
Yes. There's also more treatment
of spreading.
I'm just saying that it's not totally negative news when
You're hung up on the negative positive. The positivity is that you can avoid it. The positivity is that
yes.
not everybody's going to catch it.
Yes.
To spin the fact that you will be completely safe if you wear a mask. That's not what. Then we don't want to do that either.
No, I'm not saying you'd be completely safe, but I would tell you that you have a greater chance of flattening the curve, of doing all the things you need to do by adhering to the rules. I agree.
Yes, and that's all there is to it. This other spins. Oh, the deaths are down and blah blah blah.
No, but that's a good thing. No. But it is. Look, it is.
But the hospitals are also at capacity.
A lot of them are, but they're being discharged. In terms of the people they are.
No, this is not the report I heard just moments ago. So that's not true. That's not true.
But I guess that goes the deeper conversation, right? Like, what is truth out there, right? I mean, you can find.
Oh boy! All right. Okay.
I'm just saying you can find articles that back up whatever point you're trying to make. I mean,
exactly, Michael. Exactly.
I know. I'm just. I think that's a.
Then fine.
I'm merely just saying that it is not good, but it is not to the level of what it was in March and April.
Not yet.
You're right. It could be.
We had the same conversation a few weeks ago where you said it was going away, and I said it wasn't. And as we see, it hasn't.
It popped up.
Yes.
But why are you rooting for that? Why are you rooting for that? That's
what makes you think?
That's my question.
What makes you think I'm rooting for it?
Because a lot of people are.
What makes you think that? No, I don't care about other people. What makes you think that I am rooting for it? What in the sound of my voice makes you believe that I am in favor of this
because
disease?
You won't hear anything that is positive.
I do not want to purport anything that is potentially dangerous. There is a difference between wanting it to be a terrible situation and not wanting to spin it like it's not a terrible situation, because it is.
It is. But I don't think that I think it's a.
And then to label me as rooting for it is again another part of that subversive rhetoric that stops people from taking the situation seriously in the first place. Because now you're applying judgment to my desires for people to be cautious. That's what people do all the time, and
to reverse that
doesn't make it right.
I don't know. All I'm saying is I think that.
I know what you're saying.
Cases are spiking. It's probably a very good idea to cancel the conventions.
Yes.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that stuff.
Super spreader event. Maybe.
I think you can have multiple opinions on the same topic, though, and nothing.
It's not an opinion thing, though. It doesn't. Listen, I understand the desire to have any thoughts that you want about it, but there's science, and then there's rhetoric.
Yes.
And the science is that if something is infectious, you want to do everything you can to tamp down the to spread the infection, to avoid spreading the infection. Right? That's not an opinion. There are no opinions on that.
I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you. Which is why you should wear masks. Which is why you should socially distance. Which is why canceling.
Which is why you shouldn't have a convention, because it will be difficult to do all of those things.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Okay.
See, we're on the same page here.
No, we're not. And you're pretending we are.
I just said we're on the same page, though. I can agree with you on all those things. Why can't I agree with you?
Because you just accused me of rooting for it.
I think there's a narrative.
Forgive my language, is kind of fucked up.
Bing. I'm just saying, when I sit there and say, but here's the positive news about this. While bad, it's not as bad as it was in March and April.
Because
you can't think like that.
The positive news is
but it's true. That's a fact, though. That's a fact. That it's younger people getting it that are able to overcome it.
But you're not giving all the information, because they're not 100% overcoming it. And there are other 100%. Things. There's there are people who are dying in their 30s.
Yes.
And it's more than just respiratory. Now they think it's circulatory. Okay? They don't know. Which means you are cautious because we don't know.
Exactly. I agree. Be cautious. But don't not report things or not say things just because
you're not reporting all of it either. That's the
But
problem.
no.
You're not giving all of the information either, because there's more to it than just no one is dying.
If I'm sitting there saying that it's not as bad as it was in terms of the death rate, if the death rate is not as bad, that's
Then
a
you
fact.
didn't specify death rate.
I just said that before. That's how we
You
opened the
said not
conversation.
that. You said there's not as many people dying, right?
Right, the death rate
But you
is not
didn't-
as high.
You
as it
know
was
what
in
you said is there's not as many people dying, so it's not as bad. There's a
The
difference.
death rate is not as bad.
You didn't say the death rate is not as bad. You said
All right.
there's not as many people dying, which means the situation is not as bad. That is not the same thing.
How is it the same thing?
The spin on it is at least the death rate isn't as bad, right? There's a completely different connotation to saying the entire situation isn't that bad because there's a lower death rate.
I'm not saying the entire situation is not.
But
I'm
did
saying,
imply that.
I'm saying this resurgence is not as bad as it was because the death rate is actually not as bad, and
That's what I just said. You said.
And they're also able to treat patients now. They have actual treatments that.
That doesn't mean it's not as bad. That means there's a potential that more people will recover. But that doesn't mean the situation is not as bad. There's a completely different connotation to that.
All right. We will agree to disagree on that because I think you.
Well, see, but the thing is, if you imply that it's not as bad, then people will take more chances because it's not as bad.
But I'm not telling them to go take chances.
You don't have to tell them to take chances.
If you just withhold any positive news that goes along with it.
I didn't. It's not withholding positive news.
You just said that. Don't tell them. Don't tell them.
I didn't say don't tell them. I said don't say the situation isn't as bad because the deaths are low. That's what I said. Okay. You're the one saying it's not as bad, and that I don't want you to tell them that. But that's not what I'm saying.
All right. I think we're gonna re-listen to this episode and realize that, as usual, I am correct. All right. Next week, go out there and wear masks. Go out there, go out there and socially distance if you're out and about. Follow the rules. Don't crowd. Don't, be smart. I think we can all agree.
Don't listen to Dolce.
Be smart.
That's the most important thing. Yes.
Am I correct?
Smart. Do not listen to Dolce.
Be smart.
Yes. You're correct.
That's all.
Not to listen to you. Yes. Exactly.
Be smart, socially distance, wear a mask. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to follow guidelines that will keep you safe.
Don't be dumb.
That's it. There you go. Next week, we welcome Simon Barry, creator of Continuum and creator of the hit Netflix show Warrior Nun. He'll be on, and we're going to review Warrior Nun Season 1. It's going to be very exciting. We'll see you next week. Rogue Wave.